participants are joining. So in 2 minutes time, we'll begin. Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to this session on risk management. So we have with us our alumni, Mr. Muhiuddin Farooqui. I welcome Mr. Farooqui on behalf of IMT CDL. And I'm Dr. Preeti Sharma. I am faculty in charge for alumni affairs. And on behalf of Alumni Association and IMT CDL, I again welcome all the participants and Mr. Muhiuddin Farooqui. Mr. Farooqui has the extensive experience in risk management. He has more than 20 years of experience in Fortune 500 companies, and he has worked in the area of risk management and business intelligence. I welcome participants and request them that they should ask for the questions intermittently. They should take the full benefit of the session. And Mr. Farooqui will be responding to the questions and answer, but intermittently. So, and you can, in the meantime, you can post your questions in the chat box. So over to you, Mr. Farooqui. And I'm sure all the participants are going to enjoy the session thoroughly. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. In fact, I'll pick up from the last statement you said that people would enjoy this session. There is no reason why people will not enjoy, because risk and business intelligence is something that you cannot have a drab ever. There is always excitement when it comes to risk management and business intelligence. It is just the way we look at it. So my name is Muhiuddin Farooqui. You can call me Farooqui for addressing any questions, etc. And I know Muhiuddin is slightly larger, so or difficult to pronounce. It gives me great pleasure. It's a proud moment to come back to the institute, which has given you so many opportunities in the industry. And at the onset, let me also thank Dr. Preeti, Rakesh, Manish, everybody, Purushottam, everybody who's tried to put this together. And let me also go ahead and highlight the fact that you guys must have seen in the last couple of years, and I was talking to Preeti about it. Suddenly we have seen a lot of upsurge in sessions like these in the emailers and what IMT is doing. And that really gives you a lot of confidence in the institute or the people who are running it to the best of their potential. And that flag is still flying very, very high. So thank you, Preeti and team, for that. Coming back to the topic, This is not a topic that can be covered in one hour at all. This is much deeper topic. And when I was preparing some slides, I've got some 10, 12 slides. I was thinking from various dimensions. So one of the dimension was, should I make it very, very high level for people to understand, or should I go tactical? Because there will be people at different journey of risk management and business intelligence. Some people would be amateurs, some people will be very keen to attend the session, some people would have done some kind of an experience, maybe middle management, or some people would be probably at a senior management. So what I thought is, let me go ahead and focus on the first two buckets, which is really the amateurs and people who are very, very keen, because this is an ever evolving session. So it's very important for us to go ahead and board the bus, not really at what time we are boarding it, as far as risk management business intelligence goes, because anytime you board the bus, you will find it very, very interesting. Okay. And I will also during the session take into account what's happening currently in the world. We know COVID-19 has unified the entire world, so I'll pick up that example as well. So if you want to dig deep in the session, please reach out to Preeti and team. We can have subsequent sessions, but I'll try to go ahead and give you a flavor. I'll provoke your thoughts. I'll leave you exploratory on the subject, and of course interested. So with that, let's actually see what is risk management all about. To first of all, as we start the session. Well, risk is everywhere. I mean, if we go ahead and talk about ourselves, there is a risk to life. There is risk to the organization. There is risk the moment you sort of go ahead and cross the road. There is risk everywhere, and thereby you have health checkups. Thereby you have those road signals. You have enough and more compliances within the organizations. So the most important thing is not the control, it is about how you assess the risk. So while I say that risk exists in every organization regardless of size or complexity, or risk exists in our lives regardless of who we are, how healthy we are, how rich we are, it's very important whether we really understand the risk or not, right? That is the most important thing, and that's called the assessment of risk. So for example, if I were to go ahead and tell you that, hey, you know what, there is a risk to your lives sitting inside, but when you go out, there is COVID. What do you do? So first of all, you need to be aware that what kind of risk do I have sitting here, and if I go out, what are the kind of risks that I may be exposed to? That is a time when you go ahead and start putting in mitigations, or as they call, controls. And then over a period of time, you assess those controls, whether they're valid or not, right? So that really is the risk management side of it. Business intelligence is a very, very interesting subject, okay? And it has evolved. So a lot of times I used to get confused, what is this data mining? What is analytics? What is the difference between business excellence? What is all this, right? Truly and deeply, when you go into this subject, you realize that business intelligence is it's one of the most commonsensical aspects of any decision making in our lives. And when combined with risk management, it's a lethal combination, and I'll share with you in the following slides how. So business intelligence really consolidates everything, so it'll have business analytics in it, it'll have data mining in it, it'll have all sorts of tools, structures, everything in the same, and it'll throw up intelligence. But again, let me also caution you that data is as good as you want it to be. And what I mean by that is, if you want to slice and dice data the way you want to look at it and not use its own intelligence, you can do that as well. And we have seen a lot of companies falling prey to that. They want to see that if they want to go to, let's say, a new geography and open it, they will not look, or they will overlook some of the obvious threats which data is showing them, right? If they're launching a new product, they will actually go ahead and overlook some of their previous companies or competitors that have actually gone ahead and made mistakes upon. So data is as good. Pretty much like the old saying that common sense is not common. So let me warn you on that. So both of these put together, risk management and business intelligence, at the core of it being information technology. It's a lethal combination. And with that, let me go ahead and tell you, dig deep as to what really risk management is. Well, nothing. If you look at the topmost columns, it says likelihood of an occurrence into its impact is equal to risk. It's very simple. It's very simple. So today, if I'm sitting in my room, the WebEx goes down, the earthquake happens. Okay, what is the likelihood of this? That data will come through business intelligence. What is the likelihood? Okay, is there a possibility of gut in business intelligence? Yes, there is a possibility of gut, but only and only when you have very structured data tools with you, when you have very structured analytics team, when you have an excellence team, all of them put together, they show you the data. Data is objective. It's not subjective. Data is very objective. And based upon that, you use your gut. So when I say likelihood, I can very well give you an example where I say that, oh, you know what, if we keep, this is just a disclaimer that, this is not pointing out to anyone or any this thing, but if we just go ahead and let's say, if we keep drinking 3 times a week, small quantities of wine for the next 2 years, my data can actually tell me, looking at my health, whether, will I survive next 2 years or not. So what is the likelihood, and what is the impact? Now, impact would be judged by my family, which is high, medium, low, whether, losing me is a high impact to them, medium impact, or no impact at all, right? And that is really the risk. Now, how do we go ahead and control this? How do we, so we have assessed it. Now, how do we control this? So if I want to live long, I can do 2 things on the prima facie. 1, I can quit drinking. 2, what I can also do is, very simply put, get my health in order, and that's through my business intelligence. I do a self-health assessment and get my liver and lungs strong enough to bear, and maybe to bear the aftermath of drinks, and say, hey, you know what, it can go ahead and my livers can take this for another 5-6 years, so I'm safe till about 7-8 years. I don't drink. I don't promote drinking. I'm just going ahead and giving an example to make it slightly more interesting. But I'm just trying to tell you that's how you assess risk in a very small way to go ahead and depict that. The other way could be, let's say you are opening a company, let's say in Vietnam, or let's say you're opening a manufacturing unit somewhere, let's say in Bangalore, and then you go back and see what is the likelihood of, if you have to compare the two, what is the likelihood of let's say the natural calamity happening, the local government issues, is it geopolitically correct, all of that, and what will my investment impact be? Should I really go ahead and look at opening it there, or will I get the talent? Will I go ahead and be able to replicate the talent in case I have talent loss? All of that. That's a proper risk assessment. And on the left hand side, if you list down all the risks, on the right hand side, you need to have a very objective view to see these risks. And that right hand side, the objectivity is business intelligence. How it happens currently, let me also give you real life examples on how it happens currently. You would sort of go ahead and engage a big four or some equivalent, and say, hey, you know what, do a grounds assessment, on grounds assessment. So they would look at the political climate. They would go ahead and look at, let's say, they'll look at the geo part of it, the geographical part of it. They'll also look at, let's say, they'll go back and see talent pool. They'll look at, what is the average work size there, what is the average pay size there, all of that. All of that is what? All of that is data. Now, let's say, as an ABC company, I have all that data, and it is more favorable for me to open a manufacturing unit in Bangalore, because I see the scale there, right? Versus, let's say, a Vietnam, geography. If I overlook Bangalore and I say, hey, you know what, let me still go ahead and open it in Vietnam. Why? Because I am taking that call of splitting my risk in two countries. So I have one already somewhere up north in India, and now let me have it in Vietnam. That is called acceptance of risk. That is called data told me something, but I have still gone ahead and taken a punt and saying that, hey, you know what? Uh, well, I will go ahead and open a small unit in Vietnam, which will go ahead and provide as a backup in case there is a problem in Bangalore. I'll scale up in Vietnam, or vice versa. If there is a problem in Vietnam, I'll go ahead and scale up in Bangalore. So that is what risk assessment does, when coupled with business intelligence. And interesting part is that risk management always existed, and it's just got more strength, energy with business intelligence coming into play. It has got more energy and it's got more focus from the boardrooms, from board of directors and senior business leaders, with the advent of a lot of these, as we call them, some of these we sort of call them black swan events, or some of them we call mismanagement of companies, all of that coming in. Suddenly, it has drawn an attention of these business leaders, because nobody would want to go ahead and head an organization overlooking the risk. And when we talk about risk, we have to talk about business intelligence, because you can't talk in the air. It can't be a subjective part. It has to be very, very objective. So that is, what risk management and business intelligence does to us. And I have a very interesting slide for you guys, and I would want to open up maybe for next 5-7 minutes on chat, or you want to talk, please, I'll unmute you, but do it. And I want to show you that slide, and I want you to tell me what it is and how do I interpret that slide. Okay, and I'm sure people are, some people are lovers of that sport, but before showing that slide, let me tell you that is actually the summary of risk management and business intelligence. And I will go ahead and pull up that slide now, and I'll just keep quiet for 10 seconds, and then I won't show of hands, or people can let me know on the chat, and I would really go ahead and want to open up this session, and you guys need to tell me what is this slide and how do we interpret this. So are you able to see the slides? I'm assuming you're able to see the slide. And if yes, now if I can see some show of hands, if there are any. Okay. 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 So you're not able to see the slide, is it? Let me just go ahead and do it again. Just give me a moment. I'll just do it. Are you able to see the slides now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So may I go ahead and ask or check with you guys as to what is this slide all about? How do we interpret this slide? Do I have some show of hands? Let me just see. High risk sport. Nice, nice, good, good. What else? You can think of anything. Think of anything. This is high risk sport. That's a good one. Yes. So I see Abhay. Just 1 second. Let me go to Abhay. Okay. Yes, Abhay. I've unmuted you. What is this? So if you're not able to unmute yourself, just go ahead and put it in the chat box. Chat box is good enough.
Hello. Hi.
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, sir. Hi, sir. Very good afternoon. Abhay, this side actually, I'm working as a senior HR at Medical Electrodes International Limited. Actually, what I'm looking is like this is an F1 racing car, and I think this is a very risky for us to like uh, accidents happens in the Formula One always. So life risk is there. Cost risk is there, and like a person who is driving this, he has the opportunity to win the race, but if he lost the control, then there is a risk of losing the control, then he can lose his life, and he can lose his achievement, like he want to be the winner of that race. So I think there are many risks in this thing. So
Very good.
what I'm looking by this pick, these are my views.
Yeah. I think good start, and I was, while you were talking about this, I was also reading the chat thing, and I really liked it. You know, a lot of people have written a lot of good things. So let me quickly talk about it's Soumya says it's high risk sport, it's quite expensive. Apurva says about the brand and sport person's details. Then I have this is how likely the risk may occur with what we have at hand and what we can do to avoid risk. F1 high risk, sporty look, something related to Formula One championship, of course. High risk sport with a lot of predictive analysis, and I'm going to come to this predictive analysis behind it for risk mitigation. Very good. Formula One is very risky and exciting. Good records of the driver and the car, very nice. And then I have driver's performance data, very good. Then I have impact. Chase's design is risky, will impact on business as well as life. Risk taking mentality to take part in competition with more skills, time management, very good. And then yes, we will share the PPT with you, so don't worry about that. I think your institute or our institute is actually going ahead and recording this as well, so maybe you can just ask them for this one. So now coming back to, and I'm hoping that you're able to see the screen. Rakesh, just message me in case the slide is not visible, because once I do full screen, that the chat box minimizes. So it's actually it's heartening to see the responses, because yes, some of them are very very close to what I thought you would go ahead and talk about. Let me tell you, this is all about risk management and business intelligence and how companies are run. If you are running an organization, you would not want every time a risk leader to come and say, you know what, you can't do business because there is risk involved. Just think of this. If you have, let's say, a dealership of cars, or you have a general store, or you have a mall, or you have a financial services organization, or you have a college institute, every time a risk leader comes to you and says that you cannot do the business because, and then he cites or she cites 10 risks to you, and you're like, I want to accelerate, I want to grow in the business, I want to earn money, and I want to make brand, and I want to make all of that. So I have to take some bit of risk. So why are you not talking about that? Why are you always telling me that I have to go ahead and go slow? So companies are all about accelerating like F1, and putting up the brakes like risk, the key word is balance. So the moment you get a freeway, when you know that this is a controlled environment and I can go ahead and run, that is a time when the driver would go ahead and would accelerate the car and would accelerate to no end. We've seen, people who've actually been seeing these races would know that these are sometimes 200, 300 miles per hour, and they would just rush. The moment there is a turn on, or there is there is a maze, they'll suddenly break, and that balance is risk management. But I would go ahead and also ask you to focus on the right side of your screens. What is that? While the F1 driver today, it's Hamilton. Last decade, it was Schumacher, and all of those big names. While they are driving, and of course they are the best in the sport, and therefore they have a passion for the sport, and they do all of that balancing act. But somebody has to tell them. Somebody has to feed them that information, and their team does the same thing. While they're driving live, they have their headsets on, and they have the entire unit, the entire team telling them that, hey, you know what, this person is X milliseconds behind you. Hey, do you know what, now time to overturn, slow down a little bit, okay, change your tires, we'll be ready, okay, or you need a fuel, all of that. So his job is to go ahead and focus on the road. His job is to focus on maintaining the balance between the speed and the brakes, right? His job is to drive. But business intelligence is an enabler, which would go ahead and tell him that, hey, you know what, hold on, your tires need some air. And if you have not watched it, go and watch it today on YouTube, or Google it out. You will see the tires are changed in split seconds, milliseconds. The fueling is done in milliseconds, in seconds to be precise. So all of that is what? All of that is risk management with business intelligence, and they have to go. And it's a high-end sport. It is a high drama sport. You will see cars actually going ahead and busting. You would see last month we had F1 in Bahrain, where same team, two cars, one collided in one of those barricades that they had, and it caught fire. Driver merely escaped, and same team, second car, it caught fire with a bad, I think it was a bad tire or something. It's live. So risk management is live. So therefore, this slide always interests me, that it's like a high-end sport, but there is a lot of analytics which goes live. In that 1 hour, 2 hours of entire race, there is enough and more data analytics that happens to just go ahead and manage the sport. So this is live risk management with business intelligence, and I hope you guys like it, like the example. At least, and understand what I was trying to go back and talk on this one. Now let's come back to our corporate world and our lives, and see what exactly organizations are talking about, and how serious they are about risk management. So that is my next slide, and I hope it's visible. It says that 2/3 of the organizations today say that they're facing more complex risk than 5 years ago. 50% of companies are using outdated risk management solutions. Think of it. 2/3 companies say that they're facing more complex risk than 5 years ago. And I'll tell you, this is no rocket science. So for people who are amateurs and are keen on this subject, look around you, the way climate is changing, the way geopolitical scenarios are changing across the world. How many times have we heard that, oh, the forests were in fire in Australia, oh, US had floods, or India had earthquakes and floods, or somebody else had something, China had an inception of virus and all of that. How many times have we heard that? So we are obviously sometimes prepared, sometimes not prepared. And I'm not even touching upon the financial frauds right now, because that risk mitigation is completely different. And companies are actually acknowledging the fact that they need 50% of them are saying that they need better risk management solutions. Almost 70% of the executives think that risk management is very, very important. And 80% of them think that risk management is the importance is growing. Remember what we talked about in the first slide? You have to be self-aware first. Right? We need to know that there's a problem to address it. When we don't even know there's a problem, we won't be able to fix it. So the best part today is, the encouraging part today is that the executives are today thinking that, hey, you know what, they're acknowledging that, hey, it is important. And then some of them are thinking far ahead. They're 60% of them are actually thinking that, let's integrate processes to reduce gaps in risk and compliance procedures. And the moment you do that, so there is a concept of quality, Six Sigma and all of that. The moment you go ahead and bring risk management together, you will see a lot of elimination happening by itself, and you will see a lot of efficiency there itself. Because risk management, you would go to each process, you will go to L1, L2, L3 being the lowest, and you will say, hey, you know what, this risk here, let's say, this is a risk called, let's say, in a process whereby the file comes to me from, let's say, the state side or one of the European countries in the evening, which is their morning, and I only get to process it next morning, my time. So the time is lost. May I go ahead and start an evening shift so that I can risk mitigate and kill the turnaround time or shorten the turnaround time. Now this issue is existing in, let's say, 50 of my product lines. So same risk exists across. So you don't have to really go ahead and put different mitigations. You just go ahead and start one evening shift and you'll be like, yeah, this is fine. Similarly, the organizations which do not look at risk importantly, or even if they were looking at risk importantly and they were sort of not prioritizing it, almost 70% of them say that they were caught off guard by an operational surprise in the last 5 years. What is an operational surprise? The example that I just gave you. It could be a financial risk also, whereby I have a lot of these organizations where, let's say, the audit timings. Okay, so I have to go ahead and give a particular certification of an audit, say, stating that everything is, the books are closed and all of that, and that happens in a particular structured manner. 31st March, D-Day. But suddenly I don't have data tools, I don't have structured data, and in January I figure out, oh, it'll take me 90 days to consolidate my books. So it's a financial operational risk, right? So those are things that companies have grown, and let me tell you, having worked with the Fortune 50 organizations, that these companies take risk very seriously, very, very seriously, and as a learning opportunity. Right. So those are things which companies are looking at today from a risk management standpoint. And I only thought I'll bring this to your notice because people who are thinking of taking risk management as a career, or people who have some experience in risk management or are keen on this subject, this is the best time to sort of go ahead and board the bus. And please map it to what I told you earlier, that although this is the best time, even if you go ahead and board the bus sometime later, the subject is so interesting. The subject is so interesting that you'll be able to go ahead and pick it from there. So whoever tells you that risk management is tough, just tell them that no, it's not tough. It is very, very deep. It is interesting. There's a lot of material available, and I have live examples The moment you Google up, there'll be 110, top 1 second searches where they say that, okay, these are the case studies that you can go and look at for risk management. Now let's look at, what our enabler, business intelligence is looked at by the companies. So 73% companies feel that BI provides competitive intelligence. Now think of it. Almost 2/3, right? Almost 75%. And 70% say that it helps in cost management. So, and what is business intelligence? It's like I told you, it's a consolidation of everything. It's objective. 70% feel that it helps in operational decision making. Remember the Vietnam and Bangalore example that I gave you? There is merit. There is a huge merit in looking at numbers and then saying, okay, let me top it off with gut. A lot of times, when we look at some of these old CEOs, okay, who have made conglomerates like, let's say Jack Welch during GE time, when GE used to be the top 5 in the world, he used to say that, I think from my gut, straight out of gut. That's, I think, one of his book also. Now, when people like him say that, it also means that, they have enough and more experiential learning. They have enough and more data to go ahead and see, and then say that, okay, this is the gut. It's not that, one fine day they just got up and then they said, okay, let's go ahead and open a site in India. And then, that they changed the entire industry from an offshoring. It became offshoring plus offshore plus outsourcing. And then, the entire world economy changed. And then you saw a little site in Gurgaon, up north of India. Then suddenly you saw Noida, Hyderabad, Jaipur, Pune, Bombay, everywhere. And then you saw Philippines. And so he knew that there is a scale, there is a low cost country, where I can go ahead. There is intelligence in people. So I can count on that, right? So those are places where the business intelligence plays an enabling role. And that is the reason why it's very, very interesting, because the moment you go ahead and dig deep into these subjects, you'll realize that, hey, you know what? Today, as much as, this is very interesting and people are looking at it, there's a huge opportunity for you to be an enabler, either through risk management or through business intelligence. Just look at some of the stats. It says that, if they don't have correct information or data, almost 75% companies have difficulty in defining business requirements in the absence of data. And like I told you, data is, you can go ahead and make data talk the way you want to see it. But if you see it objectively, data will give you a lot of intelligence. So that is where, I would go ahead and tell you that data intelligence or business intelligence acts as a key enabler. And high performing companies are 50% more likely to use analytics information strategically. Keyword is strategically. And why the keyword is strategically? Because see, what happens is, okay, I have all this data. Now what do I do with this data? And you have to ensure that you use that data strategically in key decision making. And I will go ahead and once I show you the next slide, post that, I'll show you how during COVID times, companies have actually gone ahead and used it for their benefit. And some companies are laggards, by the way. Some companies are laggards and they pay for that too heavily. When I say pay, you must have seen Reliance. If you're tracking Reliance, it has gone on a spree of buying companies, mergers, partnerships, and all of that. And there are some companies which are silent. So there are companies who've used this COVID situation as an opportunity, right? So that is what it is. And if we move to the next slide, it talks about the business intelligence and risk management and how it is being how it is an enabler. So till now I was talking to you that it's enabler, it's objective. If you look at the left hand side of it, these are the actual tools and these are actual structures and designs of data. And on the right hand side, there is just an indicative segment where it says that, hey, you know what, let's say a data silo breakdown, what does that do? That helps in compliance reporting, proactive risk management. So today, if I'm sitting back and saying that, hey, do you have enough and more data to tell me in my entire organization, in my institute, okay, which are the processes which are vulnerable to, let's say, COVID situation, or let's say, an earthquake, or let's say, any geopolitical issues. Then you have something called a fraud prevention tool, and that is prescriptive analytics. Can I stop the fraud from happening? Can I, when I say stop, can I minimize it? Would I know that, okay, you know what, if I am sending an email out from my organization and it has customer data in it, do I have enough and more tools to alert my IT team? So a lot of these organizations do not give access up until a level of any external emails. A lot of these companies have a filter that, okay, X MB and above, you cannot send. A lot of these companies would go back and put a filter stating that the moment you send anything, the alert will get generated and go to your IT team and your boss. It's not that they don't trust you. It's a word called smart trust. That's what they're doing. And what is a smart trust? Even one little mistake or a bad apple can go ahead and ruin the brand name of organizations. How many times have you seen the CEO resigning because of some far away, some site, some branch, some associate or some employee, junior level employee making a mistake? That is the impact. And when I say the impact, it's not the CEO resigning, it is the brand name, it is the profitability, it is the promise that they've made to the customer that we will not share your data with anyone. All of that. How many times have we heard the news? And I'm sure if you Google it up, you'll find it last month, where Google, we're saying Google it up, you'll find Google itself paying, millions of dollars, or Facebook or WhatsApp, all of these people, Facebook and WhatsApp are the same. But yeah, you see these companies paying fines and penalties because customer data was compromised. So that is what business intelligence is used for, to go ahead and minimize that risk, to give you preemptive analysis, preemptive knowledge. And it is up to you. How do you use it? When I say up to you, of course, the organizations. So there is an alert. I know that, oh, my health condition is not wrong, is not right. I still keep doing the same stuff again and again. God can save you. All right. Information security is a very, very interesting subject in itself. When we talk about defining enterprise cybersecurity, how many times hackers would have tried to go ahead and come into your organization's firewall and gone back? God alone knows. But I'm sure you guys have had some interaction with those emails or some messages, or some phone calls where people would email you that, oh, you know what, I'm Warren Buffett and I'm leaving a huge, fortune, as charity, and therefore just click on this link and X $1 million are yours. Or you get a link stating that, okay, you know what, you're trying to sell your old phone online, and suddenly you get a customer who says, okay, this is the password, please share your credit card details with me. You get an OTP, please share it with me. Very, 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 very common. Today, it has reached to a level where people are actually going ahead and doing QR codes frauds, right? Where you just go ahead and pick your phone and then you just go ahead and, put your camera on the QR code, and suddenly you know that your bank account is emptied. So all of that, today it's not about going ahead and putting on an accelerator and rushing into profit zone. One mistake can go ahead and bring you down, and that is where risk management with business intelligence comes in play. Okay, and as rightly mentioned at the end of the slide, it says most of the companies are investing data initiatives for reporting, analytics, and data security in order to manage risk and compliance. With that, and I know there are about 10-15 minutes left, I have another 3-4 slides on this one. That's it. Don't look at these numbers. These numbers were as of 24th November, but I'm sure there's one human being that all of you know, and that's him, Tedros, who's the director on the WHO board, and he keeps saying this, that, hey, you know what? This virus is not over till the time it's over, irrespective of what governments tell you. And we know why governments tell us that, because obviously the economy has to run. That's an important part. But health is very, very important. And obviously, we have to go ahead and ensure that we don't, not listen to him. And this is one word, COVID-19, which has sort of unified the entire world together. And for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. Now this is a black swan event. It'll always be remembered. The reason why I put this up here is because this is one risk that probably people didn't think would hit hard, the manner in which it has hit hard. This survey was conducted just in the middle of the crisis, and that's the time when almost 88% people believed that economy will be significantly weakened. We know that 85% of offices are partially closed. Most of these of the organizations went in the work from home mode, and guess what? They're going to keep it. We have organizations like TCS announcing it, that by 2025 they'll have X percentage of people actually going ahead and work from home. Something that was only limited to IT professionals. Now you have doctors giving prescriptions online. You have big financial services sector working online. You have outsourcing and offshoring segments working online. Right? Will it have an impact on the overall business and the sectors? Yes, it will have. So 75% are expecting a reduction in business travel due to remote tools. Now you don't need to travel. Now today, do I need to have a in-person meeting? Not all the time. All of us can log in like right now. Probably if it was an earlier time, I would have come from Delhi to Ghaziabad and taken that session. But now look at it, wherever you guys are, you've logged in from there. We are having this conversation, and it's perfectly meaningful and it's interesting, so to say. Efficiencies have increased. So that is how the world will be. So there will be an increase in work from home going forward, because it also gives the organizations a lot of efficiency. So a lot of real estate strategy will change. This is something that people did not expect. But if you look at it, and our government has also acted very fast on this, whereby they gave DOT licenses, they gave all these legal approvals and all of that, where suddenly, I mean, by nature of it, a lot of these businesses were not supposed to work from home. But yes, today these companies are working from home thanks to quick legal and compliance approvals, right? And this is we are talking about the impact to the organizations. How many of us have actually seen the impact around us? We are more online now, right? There are these e-yogas and those virtual exercises and virtual tambolas and I see a lot of these online cultural events, where families will get together, have a meal together online, everybody having their own cooked food at home, and doing a video conference. All of that happening. The Amazon, Flipkart sales have gone up, although 50% of folks say that, hey, you know what, I want to touch and feel the moment malls open, and we would go to the markets again as well. But that is the new normal. Who would have imagined that some of these kids will do online schooling? We would have never imagined that in our lifetime that they will be homeschooling. It's almost like homeschooling, right? We've cancelled holidays. Some of us who wanted to go ahead and probably go to the best places in the world country, we've seen cancellation of holidays happening. We've seen postponement of weddings happening. We've seen shutting restaurants, salary cuts, redundancies, all of that is happening in a manner where this world may change completely on its face, and we may see a completely different behavior emerging out of this pandemic. And that is where I say that what, your business analytics, your risk management, you can only go ahead and first of all try to assess. You can go ahead and put controls, but there are some risks that you'll have to accept in life and quickly change. And how business intelligence, remember I told you this, that business intelligence played a big part in this. This is the slide that I was referring to. With the onset of COVID-19, it became important for organizations across sectors. It hit all the sectors and across the world, right? Most of the countries across the world were under COVID-19 situation. And suddenly they had multiple priorities at the same time. What were those priorities? They have to save business. They have to save their commercial rental costs. They have to save customers. They have to save employees. All of these multiple priorities coming in together at the same time, and they did not have a tad comfort, which is like, okay, you know what? I will make a 3 to 5 year strategy. I will need 1 year to make it, and I will go to the board after that, and people will say yes to it and all of that. No, December it was detected, Jan, Feb, and it was already there. So companies which had business intelligence, well, they're the companies which sort of went ahead faster on this, very very fast on this. Some companies I know didn't even have the employee database with them. Forget about product lines. And that's the reason why if you recall on one of the slides, it was like the high performing organizations, 50% of them would use BI and are using BI big time. And well, this situation has taught them a lesson that they have to be ready. I mean, I have to give laptops to, let's say, or I have to enable folks work from home. How many people do I need to do it? It was as simple a question that companies do not have an answer to. Whereas, some companies actually went ahead and said, okay, you know what? We are giving you money to enable not only your laptops, your broadbands, your dongles of the world and all of that, but also other infrastructure, which is a chair and a table, mouse kits and everything, everything, the headphones, everything. They gave, some of them gave cash, amounts to go ahead and ensure that people get enabled. How? What was the calculation? How was the calculation done at the background? They had data structures that threw up all of this overnight for them. There were businesses which were categorized into high risk businesses, medium risk businesses, and low risk businesses. So just go ahead and ensure that, first of all, enable the high risk businesses, then medium risk businesses, and then low risk businesses. If I didn't know what my business risk was per my product, how will I do it? And like I mentioned that now this situation has ensured that risk management and BI will work hand in hand. And BI almost became a differentiator as employee database, process database, IT database, financial database, legal requirements, everything came together. So when there is a chaos and somebody gives you that, you know what, this is the data, don't worry about the chaos anxiety around. This is the data that we have with us, and we can derive intelligence out of this. Imagine as a function leader or as a professional, not even as a function, as a professional, it'll calm you down and it'll make sense at that time to take those key strategic decisions for the organization. That's the thought that I want to leave you with, that, hey, you know what, two things. One, risk management and business and intelligence ain't tough at all. It's very, very deep study, but interesting one. Two, it's common sense. It is common sense. This is my second last slide, and then we'll open up. I know there's just 3 or 4 minutes left, but yes, I'll still open up. The moment you have good data in place, the moment you have intelligence in place, then you can go ahead and focus on employee safety or employee engagement. Then you can talk big things, and you can actually do it. End customer promises, what does that mean? That means that, if I've promised my customer that, I'll give you X quality with Y efficiency and all of that. And internal stakeholder communication, which is, I'll have stakeholders at different levels, which could be board, which could be, my, internal department communication, all of that. You can focus more on this. But if you don't have risk management and BI hand in hand, it'll be a chaos. You would try to go ahead and manage the chaos and say, okay, we'll take care of this later. Let me just go ahead and fix this first. So that is what it is, and I just wanted to sort of leave you with the thought, and I wanted to sort of go ahead and leave the exploration. If you ever want deep sessions separately, I'll be more than happy to do this. I have my a dear friend. She leads risk management for me where I work. Shilpi, she's also helped me to sort of go ahead and make this. And I thought it's only right to go ahead and acknowledge everybody, whether it's IMT, you guys have taken out time, and my team who's sort of helped me capture this. So I'll take a pause and I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Any questions or any thoughts? The best way is to put it on the chat. My mail ID, yes, my mail ID is, so I'll just open it up here. It's right here. It's right here. Okay, the question is, you have given the overview of BI and risk management. Very good. If we want details, where we have to go to study. Okay, very good, good question. So let me answer that question for you. See, most of the institutes, IMT included, talk about, and they talk about risk management. And I know Preeti and I also discussed this, that how we can sort of look at risk management as a topic, maybe later. So there are topics, subjects covered, and so you also have post-graduation in risk management, and you also have post-graduation in business analytics. You have certificate courses also. What opportunities are available for a fresher in the industry? I'm telling you, this is the right opportunity. Just stay safe right now. The world after COVID will be a fresh world, different world altogether, but you need to be safe and healthy to see that world. It'll almost start from zero. There are multiple opportunities. People will look at risk and business intelligence in much more a serious way than what it is right now. I handle risk management and business intelligence. I also handle strategic planning and governance, business communication and audits. Out of all these functions, let me tell you, risk management and business intelligence gets the prime most attention of my leaders in the organization today, which is really the management team of the organization. So let me tell you that. Which risk is the biggest risk for infrastructure sector? Okay, no, I'm not going to go ahead and so this is I'll take this offline, please. So these are specific questions, but let me tell you, your regulatory risk and your operational risk will always be there. So that's the hint there. Okay, okay. Thank you. Good comments. Good comments. Okay. If ERM, what is the future? Okay, so good question, and this I get a lot of times from everybody. What is the difference between ERM and ORM, and what is so this is I'm working with SBI General Insurance and Risk Management Engineering. I'm looking for exposure in ERM. Okay, so let me tell you this. Risk management covers ERM and ORM both. Okay, there is a lot of overlap. Now, people will tell you, and this is how I got inducted, that ERM is strategic. Okay, ORM is tactical. The way I go ahead and talk about this, and this is what I tell my team also at work. Risk is risk. You have to look at both ends. You have to look at the strategic risk and you have to look at the tactical risk. So sometimes you will go from up to bottom, which is, let's say there is a regulatory risk, and then you drill down further, what caused it, and how can we go ahead and assess it, and how can we put controls. And sometimes, an associate on the floor will tell you of a risk, of a transactional risk. And the moment you start moving up, you'll realize that there is some problem at the strategy. This is a great session. Thank you. Thank you. So again, all those thank yous, welcome. And really, I really wanted to go ahead and talk about much more. Probably we'll get some more time. Word of advice for someone who's doing PG in business analytics? Good question. Business analytics. So let me tell you something, buddy. You are doing the right thing. Just top it up, because business analytics is just one stream in business intelligence. Go on and on. I mean, that's what I say to my team also, that please keep upskilling yourself. After this, go to data science. After that, go to data tools. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it, and you're on the right track. Okay. So then Deloitte and Nestle have lots of companies. They've given infrastructure amount to employees. Right. You're right. And okay. Yes, you're right. The CEO resigned because of a junior level person. Absolutely correct. See, I told you, this is all common sense. It's happening around us. It's all happening around us. And I love these comments that you're posting in the chat. And so, Preeti, please let me know if I have to go ahead and end this now, or there is anything else. Would like another session. I'm more interested in financial risk management. Okay, so I'll tell you again, like I mentioned, that risk is risk. Okay, and you are right. Financial risk management is something that depends on the sector that you are in. So if you tell me that you are in the financial services sector, the risks will be very different from, let's say, if you are in a banking sector, because banking sector is much more tight, in terms of the risk and its controls, because not only the customer segment, it has a lot of regulatory nuance. So in India, for example, RBI and similarly, if you're on the financial side, the SEBI, they are very, very strong. And thereby, if you look at let's say the recent example of Yes Bank, it's a case study in itself as to how they went ahead and saved that bank. It was purely done with an intent to control risk and ensuring that customers don't bleed and they don't get they're at a loss. So financial risk depends on what organization and sector you are in. It's a very good field, and it could be on the regulatory requirements, audit requirements. It could also touch upon your local SEZ norms if your company is in the special economic zones. It can touch on the audit requirements. If your books are fine, they should tally. If you're in the offshoring outsourcing industry, your cross-border agreements are fine. Everything is getting billed back properly. So all of those things. Yes, I think I have no more chat questions. So over to you, Preeti.
So thank you so much, Farooqui. Thank you so much. It was really an interesting session. And as I said, everybody has enjoyed it thoroughly and they have learned a lot out of it. So we will, one thing for the participants that we will have make available the recording and the recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So the link will be sent to all of you shortly. And if required, we will arrange another session from Mr. Farooqui on where we will go deep into the understanding of risk management. So thank you so much. And I think it is the time to say goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, Preeti and team, thank you so much. And all of you who've joined today, thank you so much.